What's going on, YouTube? I'm back with another reaction video, man. I got the dark side of American prep basketball. Hey, I'm not too sure what that. My only assumption is he probably finna talk about. Well, we just finna fuck around and see what he talking about. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the noti bell. Let's get into it, man. Is that Clint Capella?
In 2017, a group of teenage basketball players arrived from all across the world to what they thought was their ticket to college stardom. It was a newly founded prep academy promising elite coaching and unlimited national exposure to college scouts. But once they got there, they found themselves
That looks like jail.
in a garage and without sufficient food or hot water. Dreams were shattered, families' life savings were gone, and some even found themselves arrested and behind bars. Sadly, this wasn't
Time out. This has. Whoa, that's not what the fuck I expected. How did somebody go to jail from this?
This is the dark side of American prep basketball, where the pursuit of athletic excellence has opened the door to broken promises, corruption, and straight-up fraud.
Hey.
Now, prep academies weren't always like this. Schools like Montverde or Vxlkel Academy have been around for 100 years. During that time, they built their reputations first as prestigious academic institutions. Naturally, over decades and with access to funding, they developed elite athletic programs to go with it. And this produced NBA stars like D'Angelo Russell, Carmelo Anthony, and Kevin Durant. These schools became the gold standard.
Damn, why you just get Ben Simmons like that?
Elite coaching, a well-rounded education, and legitimate access to college recruitment. Of course, all of this at a price, sometimes upwards of $60,000 a year.
Bro, that's a salary for it. Hey, nigga, that's a salary. What the fuck?
Internet and social media meant that high school players could become overnight sensations by one viral clip. And with that trend, basketball was becoming increasingly global, and the competition for these Division I scholarships was skyrocketing. On top of that, due to the NBA's recruiting cycle being mostly in the spring and summer, more and more attention was being placed on these summer basketball tournaments like AAU. College basketball recruiters were finding their guys at these AAU summer tournaments, making the traditional high school basketball season less and less relevant and more for just following up with guys you already knew about. This caused players and families to look for other avenues outside of high school to get more exposure to college recruiting. Then in 2006, the popularity of basketball academies really began to take off with the formation of Finley Prep in Henderson, Nevada. Founded by automotive millionaire Cliff Finley, it made no qualms about the fact that this school was solely for developing elite basketball talent.
Not one team, that's it. It's nothing like any school we've ever been to.
Cliff recruited the best players from all across the country and bought a house for them all to live under one roof. The education part of the school was secondary and was outsourced to a local private school, Henderson International. And technically the model worked. Finley Prep won national championship after national championship and produced NBA stars like Avery Bradley, Kelly Oubre, and Tristan Thompson. So the framework for these basketball factories was set, but not without skepticism.
The biggest storyline I'd say was that Finley's not a real school. Our guys do what they want.
I thought it was going to be like huge campus.
The high school's just us.
Regardless, Finley Prep's success sparked a gold rush. Dozens of similar academies started sprouting up all across the country, promising the same formula: exposure, elite coaching, and a fast track to Division I basketball. But unsurprisingly, this new and unregulated market created a hotbed for fraud.
There are a lot of
So these niggas didn't even have an actual school? So you telling me these niggas were it was just the team?
But, can open up with money and say, hey, come here, an AAU program, and now it's the play national schedule slide.
Well, it's a pretty novel high school basketball concept. Shannon Furrow's Christian School will play host to something called the 22 Feet Basketball Academy, which their goal is to compete against the likes of Vxlkel Academy and other national powers and develop not only basketball players, but students in an area they found perfect.
Okay.
In 2013, Mike Rawson founded a school by the name of 22 Feet Academy. It was going to follow the same model as Finley Prep, housing all the players under one roof and outsourcing the education. And with Mike Rawson being from the UK originally and a former EuroLeague agent, his vision was to not only recruit domestic talent, but international as well. In no time at all, 22 Feet Academy was going to rival the likes of Montverde or IMG Academy with its elite coaching staff and facilities. However, it would only take a few short years for the facade to come crashing down. Rawson's vision quickly faded when bills for equipment and other necessities were going unpaid. The converted garage that upwards of 10 players were living in at a time was becoming vermin infested, and these promised upgraded facilities were nowhere to be found. The situation only grew worse when the authorities discovered that Rawson and his wife were running a massive
The
fraud scheme.
garage? Nigga, a garage? You housed some kids in a garage, my nigga? And thought that was gonna work? What was your plan?
Consequences were devastating, including the arrest and deportation of Turkish player Mumin Tunk. The indictment stated that Rawson did not require regular school attendance, allowed students to take online courses in violation of their visas, and allowed them to transfer repeatedly without being properly sponsored on an updated Form I-20.
The Rawson duo was charged with defrauding the United States.
Nobody seemed to know all the other things that were going on underneath the surface. It seems to be the students that are the ones that...
I ain't gonna cap. That just sounded terrible. I don't know what that man just said.
Form I-20.
The Rawson duo was charged with defrauding the United States.
Nobody seemed to know all the other things that were going on underneath the surface. It seems to be the students that are the ones that are hurting right now.
Yeah, like, cause
22 Feet Academy isn't an anomaly.
the students look like they just in a hellhole. Like, actually, their living space look terrible.
That often leave players ineligible to even play college basketball. Over and over again, we see these basketball factories closing without warning, leaving families without refunds and without many options. Even successful programs aren't immune. Even Finley Prep had to close its doors back in 2019. The tragedy of the situation is it's not the five-star recruits destined for the NBA that are suffering the most. It's the families that are betting everything on their child's dream. Parents draining savings accounts or taking out loans to pay tuition, desperate for that promised exposure to college scouts. Too often they're left with nothing but debt and disappointment, and sometimes for these international students, deportation. As competition for these college
Nigga got
scholarships
deported?
continues to
Wait, I'm so
intensify,
lost into that one.
international players increasingly
That's
value
nasty
their
work.
spots at
That don't
American
even make
universities.
sense.
The pressure
That's
on
pretty
these
fucked
young
up.
athletes and their families just continues to grow. And while there are still legitimate prep academies that continue to develop their talent the right way, the industry's dark side persists. It's all a cautionary tale of what happens when the dreams of a young athlete collide with corruption and unregulated greed. If you're considering going to a prep academy, do your research, check accreditation, talk with former students, and if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. That's a fucked up story. Hey, that was a little quick one by Weston Ware. Hey, if you like this type of content, like, comment, subscribe, hit the noti bell. Finna get out there. Just want to get us to this next one, man. Peace.